So, what do you do when you want something more than the other person? So, I'm thinking specifically as a trainer or coach, but any of us could be in this situation, whether it's with a family member, a friend, a mentor, someone that we respect, a child. It could be with anyone. So this could be completely agnostic. That's my word. This is completely agnostic of the relationship. So I'm just thinking about someone wanting to change versus someone helping that person facilitate change. But I'm going to talk from a coach client perspective. So, what do you do as a coach when your client doesn't appear to want the change as much as you want for them? Well, I've talked before about meeting people where they are. And I don't believe that you can be an effective coach if you aren't meeting your client where they are. So usually when a client comes to you, they are in some way, shape, or form ready to make a change. You've had a couple of conversations. You've agreed that it's a benefit to work with each other, and that they are willing to put forth some effort. So the client is willing to put forth some effort to make this change that they say they want to make. And as a coach, I have kind of a standard way of putting out effort to support my clients to make sure that we're always on the same page, but I'm there for you to walk beside you along this journey of change. So you always want the best, just like a parent wants the best for their child. You want to see them happy and healthy and vibrant and, just believing that they can do anything and everything they want to do. Everyone has dreams and hopes and desires, and you are there in some capacity to enable them to make those dreams a reality. So when you see that your client is not ready or not where they say they are, what do? Well, you have to call them out. You definitely have to say something, because it's a disservice to the client to let them think that they are in a position where they're not. Personally, I don't like thinking one thing and then having something else be, completely different as the reality. I like to be clear. I like to understand. I like to, just make sure that things are what they are. And then if I have a different understanding, then I like to get that, figured out as soon as possible. And I like to do that with my clients as well. So we're always on the same page. So if, I develop a plan, or if we develop a plan together and, the client is not doing the things that they said they would do, or they had a different understanding, or they are not showing up as they said they would show up, you have to say something. Because I know for me, I've slid a couple of times on my goals. I don't know about you, but sometimes we stray off the path a little bit, so to speak, or go and take the scenic route even though the express lane is wide open for us. We get distracted. We forget who we are. We forget the big, bold, amazing life that we said we wanted to create and have and live. We forget those things. So sometimes we need a reminder to get back on the expressway, because that's what we said we wanted to do. So it's a reminder of you said you wanted this thing. We agreed that we both were going to do some things, some activities to make this thing happen. And it doesn't appear that this is actually what's transpired, what's going on here. And I know I've done this, but I know I've had people say this to me as well. This isn't what I thought it would be. It's taking more than I thought it would take. It doesn't look the way that I thought it would look. It doesn't feel the way that I thought it would look. So maybe I've checked out. Maybe because it doesn't look or feel the way that I thought it would or should, maybe I'm not as invested. And like, that's an honest conversation, that's a real conversation. I know the old me would have sought to make a change, seen that maybe it was taking a little bit more effort than I wanted to exert, or like I develop a plan and I execute the plan and I get halfway through and be like, this isn't looking the way I thought it would, and just like completely abandon ship, like completely. And there were some consequences that came with that. I admit that. But you have to look at, again, why you're making a certain change, and actually if it is in fact the right plan to have to get that change. There's also a time where you reevaluate the goal or the change that you said you wanted to make. Because, and I've done this and I've worked with people through this, where the change that you said you wanted to make actually isn't the change that you wanted to make. Again, there's a layer behind the layer behind the layer. So taking the action of, let me just execute this plan, and this isn't what I thought it would be, I actually want this instead, is way better than completely abandoning ship because of fear. That's better. But when we let those things get in the way of any progress at all, and when we see that progress has just completely stopped, because as a coach, I know that the client wants this great life. They want things that are amazing. They want, all the dreams to come true. But they have to be ready to put forth the effort to explore the plan, to just take any action step. They have to be ready, willing, and able to take those steps, because I can't take them for them. So this goes back to meeting people where they are, for sure. But really holding that kind of that North Star for them and saying, this is what you wanted, so this is what I'm holding for you. And if that is no longer the North Star, that's great. We can find another North Star. If they are not ready for the shift, the change, to take the steps, if they really aren't as ready as they thought they were to make that journey, then that's when you have the conversation of, is now the time to do this? Are there some other things that you need to do first in order for this to be a beneficial relationship like we had initially intended? So really being clear on what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do, being coachable, and then as the coach, holding that guidepost, holding that North Star for the client, and then meeting the client where they are, because the client is the one that's doing the work. We as coaches, we support, we guide, we help facilitate, we push, because we need to make the thought-provoking comments and the challenges and get you out of your comfort zone. to be able to make those life-changing shifts that you want to make. But we can't do it if you're not in the right space to be able to make the shifts on your own. So it is really important to meet people where they are, because you can't force someone to change. The person has to be ready to have the conversation, to take the action, to swipe the credit card, to lift the weight, to, put on the workout clothes, to apply for the job, to put the resignation letter in, to you have to be ready, and you have to be sure that you're ready to do that. But only you can do that. We can't force people to change. The coach can't coach you enough to change. You actually have to be ready to take the steps on your own. And I know from personal experience, if you're not ready, or you're not close to 100% ready, it's not going to happen. And you're going to be miserable if you try it, or if someone tries to push you out of your comfort zone to do something. So, what do you think? Is it better to try to push or not push? My vote is not push, and just letting people make change happen when they're ready to make change happen, and that we're all ready when we're ready, and we know that we're ready when we're ready. So let me know what you think.